Tonight, we're in the Netherlands on the eve of this country's Liberation Day. 80 years have passed, but the heroism of Canadian soldiers is untarnished.
You meet people and realize how gracious and how kind and how they remember it.
Not many of them are left to tell the story, so families are stepping into the breach.
And he got there and he goes, there's my initials. It was unbelievable.
Also tonight, what Canadians might see and hear when Mr. Carney goes to Washington.
It's unlikely that the relationship will be sorted out within a single meeting, but it's certainly a good start.
Acute malnutrition in Gaza drives international cries for humanitarian aid.
Food stocks have now mainly run out. Water access has become impossible.
The voices of some struggling to survive.
From CBC News, this is The National with Erica Johnson and Chief Correspondent Adrian Arsenault.
Thanks for joining us. We're in Wageningen tonight in the Netherlands as this country marks 80 years since its liberation from the Nazis. And Canada is woven so tightly into that story. This city is where the occupying Germans surrendered to a Canadian officer on May the 5th, 1945. Canadians led the push to free the Netherlands, and today in a ceremony at the Hogan Canadian War Cemetery, their bravery and sacrifice was honored, including by some of the Canadian veterans who remember it all firsthand. This is Remembrance Day in the Netherlands, ahead of tomorrow's Liberation Day celebrations. We're going to get to all of it, from the public ceremonies to the very personal journeys happening here in a bit. But for now, we'll send it back to Erica in Vancouver.
Thanks, Adrian. Anticipation is building here at home for the first in-person meeting between Canada's newly elected Prime Minister and the U.S. President. Mark Carney campaigned on a promise to take on Donald Trump, who once again today reiterated talk of Canada becoming the 51st state. Carney won't be alone bringing senior government officials to engage their counterparts. As JP Tasker explains, it's all part of an effort to settle the trade war Donald Trump started.
U.S. President Donald Trump is renewing his 51st state taunts ahead of a high-stakes meeting with Canada's newly elected Prime Minister.
If Canada was a state, it wouldn't cost us. It would be great. It would be such a great, it would be a cherished state. What a beautiful country it would be.
But he's ruling out the use of military force.
I don't see it with Canada. I just don't see it. I have to be honest with you.
This will never, ever happen.
Mark Carney is keeping expectations low for Tuesday's Oval Office meeting, where other world leaders have recently faced Trump.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
As at that meeting with Ukraine's president, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance is expected to be on that couch. Like his boss, he's critical of Canada.
I'm not pretending those discussions will be easy or they won't proceed in a straight line. There'll be zigs and zags, ups and downs.
At the top of the agenda are U.S. tariffs. The original fentanyl-related tariffs currently exempted for CUSMA-compliant goods. Levies on autos, currently with similar exemptions. And global tariffs on steel and aluminum in effect at 25%.
He has a mandate, a strong mandate, to negotiate with the United States.
The Liberal government says it's a chance to turn the page.
My hope and our hope is that this will be the continuation of a productive conversation and a productive relationship between our two countries.
It's unlikely that the relationship will be sorted out within a single meeting, but it's certainly a good start.
What are you expecting from Carney after this Trump meeting?
We expect him to deliver on what he promised. He promised Canadians.
Canada's Conservatives have big expectations when it comes to tariffs.
We're expecting him to come back with either a deal to lift them all together or a path forward or significant progress. And I think it's fair to hold politicians to the standards that they set for themselves.
Despite the rhetoric, there are signs the relationship is moving in the right direction. While Trump labeled Justin Trudeau the governor, he's calling Carney a nice gentleman.
And JP, it's not just the trade war on Tuesday's agenda.
Yeah, Carney has said it's not just about trade. He wants an entirely new economic and security relationship with the U.S. The old one, he says, is over. The Prime Minister's office confirms there will be a number of cabinet ministers in D.C. to start those negotiations. Erica?
JP Tasker in Ottawa, thanks for this. Canada wasn't the only topic Trump talked about in that interview. Sasha Petrusek is here to talk about the rest of it. Sasha, he was challenged in a number of ways, including some high-profile deportations.
Erica, immigration was a key promise of Trump's 2024 campaign, and he spared no effort in targeting it, even challenging judges who've stood in his way.
And I was elected to get him the hell out of here, and the courts are holding me from doing it.
Don't you need to uphold the Constitution of the United States as president?
I don't know.
He seems to be saying he's not sure he needs to obey the U.S. Constitution, the kind of comment that worries many here. Erica?
And back to tariffs, Sasha. It's much wider than just Canada, isn't it? Including lots of talk about a possible recession.
Yeah, that full speed ahead, no matter what approach has defined his presidency so far. Even, he says, if it throws the economy into a recession.
And that's my question,
Remember
the
this.
long term.
Yeah.
Is it okay in the short term to have a
Remember
recession?
this. Look, yeah, everything's okay. What we are, I said, this is a transition period. But I think we're going to have the greatest economy in the history of our country. I think we're going to have the greatest economic boom in history.
But Erica, figures out this week suggest that boom is nowhere in sight.
And then there's Trump's musing about a third term. That came up as well.
Yeah, a lot of his strongest supporters are pushing for just that. They've even printed red baseball caps with Trump in 2028. And Trump himself has hinted there might be a way. Now he says that's not his plan.
This is not something I'm looking to do. I'm looking to have 4 great years and turn it over to somebody, ideally a great Republican, to carry it forward. But I think we're going to have 4 years, and I think 4 years is plenty of time to do something really spectacular.
But here's the thing, Erica. Trump's approval ratings after 100 days are the lowest at that time of any president in decades.
All right, thanks for this, Sasha Petrusek in Washington tonight. Russian President Vladimir Putin is expressing hope that nuclear weapons won't be required to end its war in Ukraine.
Добиться того, чтобы мы совершили ошибки.
The comment is from a pre-recorded interview released today by Russian state television to preview an upcoming documentary. In it, Putin says his forces have enough strength and conventional firepower to achieve what he calls a logical conclusion with the outcome Russia requires. And passengers were guided to safety this morning at Israel's busiest airport in response to a missile that was launched from Yemen and landed nearby. A Houthi spokesperson took responsibility for the strike that left 4 people with minor injuries. Israel vowed reprisals against the Houthis and their Iranian backers. Israel's security cabinet is also weighing a plan to escalate attacks on Gaza, even as Palestinian children face drastic health risks from a lack of basic nutrition. Mira Baines shows us the impact of choking off aid for 2 months and a warning these images may be difficult to watch.
Images of children showing signs of severe malnutrition are revealing the deepening effects of Israel's blockade on food and medication to Gaza. This baby's father says she weighed 4.5 pounds at birth and has gained little in 6 months.
فولدت غزل 2 كيلو فقط.
There's no food, he says, no treatment, and no way out. Israel's full blockade began 2 months ago as the first phase of a ceasefire agreement with Hamas expired. The United Nations says aid has dwindled to a trickle and the stockpile of food has all but run out. On Friday, a Gaza-bound aid ship organized by activists was damaged, they say, by an Israeli drone strike. At food distribution sites, tensions are boiling over in what is the longest closure of aid Gaza has faced. Just trying to get rice is a struggle for this 18-year-old. Everyone's pushing, she says. There's no flour. This is the beginning of a famine.
Food stocks have now mainly run out. Water access has become impossible, and people are killing each other over water.
Now Israel has begun calling up tens of thousands of reservists to, quote, intensify and expand its operations in Gaza. It says to increase pressure on Hamas to release the remaining hostages taken on October 7, 2023, during deadly attacks in Israel. Israel's security cabinet discussed the plan. It's unclear whether Israel will allow more aid through a proposed humanitarian zone. But time is running out in central Gaza. Doctors worry hunger and lack of care could leave many children with lifelong effects. For some, even survival is uncertain day by day. Mira Baines, CBC News, Vancouver.
British police have arrested 8 men, including 7 Iranian nationals, in 2 separate counter-terrorism investigations. 5 of them were detained on suspicion of terrorism over a plot to target a specific but unnamed location. The other 3 were arrested under national security legislation. Police say the 2 operations are not connected. Let's head back to the Netherlands now and to Adrian.
Thanks, Erica. This is a weekend of commemoration in the Netherlands. 80 years since the Dutch were liberated from the Germans at the end of the Second World War. And this is Remembrance Day here. A nationwide 2 minutes of silence was held just a bit ago. Events tomorrow will strike a very different tone. That's because this city is preparing to host a huge liberation parade to celebrate the moment the occupying Nazis surrendered right here to a Canadian officer. And Canadian veterans of that fight will be celebrated. They've been the center of attention for days now as various events to mark this anniversary are held. And as Chris Brown shows us, that continues as this nation remembers the fallen.
On this day of remembrance in the Netherlands, Canada and some of its oldest soldiers who gave the Dutch back their freedom were singled out for gratitude.
We are deeply moved that so many veterans are present as well.
The Canadian War Cemetery in Hogan is the final resting place for nearly 1,400 Commonwealth soldiers, mostly Canadians, who were killed in the final months of the Second World War as their units drove out Hitler's troops. The Dutch appreciation is not token. Canadian flags are everywhere. And at Saturday's parade in nearby Apeldoorn, thousands came out to personally thank the Canadian vets who are able to return 80 years later.
Thank you for being here.
Mary Simon is Canada's Governor General.
This friendship and this sense of belonging to each other is very strong.
It's a sense of wonder.
102-year-old George Brewster from Duncan, BC, flew Spitfires over occupied Europe and the Netherlands.
You meet people and realize how gracious and how kind and how they remember. And I think that remembrance is the thing that is etched in my mind.
James enlisted with the Royal Canadian Engineers.
More than anything, these commemorations are about keeping stories and memories alive. These students from Owen Sound and Meaford, Ontario, traveled a long way to learn about fallen soldiers from their hometowns.
It's close to home, like knowing where he grew up. We went to the same high school, and it's kind of like crazy to think that we're like similar age, like he's not much older than me.
To conclude this solemn day, a helicopter dropped 15,000 poppies. Monday will be filled with happier celebrations of liberation.
And Adrian, children were a big part of this day. Not only did they rush to pick up all of those poppies that fell from the sky, they also each put a rose on the grave of a Canadian soldier and then said his name out loud so that he would not be forgotten.
And Chris, I know we've talked about this, about how special it is to see the Canadian vets at 101, 104 being able to participate in these events. What's your sense of how they're holding up?
Well, as you say, 22 of them were able to travel here, but these are very long, emotional days. 9 felt up to coming to Hogan. The parade here in Apeldoorn likely tired a lot of them out, but in a good way. So many people wanted to see them, shake their hands, say thank you. And of course, there's going to be a lot more of that kind of emotion on Monday. Adrian.
All right, Chris Brown in nearby Apeldoorn. Thanks, Chris. Another kind of act of remembrance is also happening here. A group of Canadians is retracing the footsteps of their fathers and grandfathers who fought here 80 years ago.
Dad said they had fabulous views.
because they could see so far on 4 sides.
It's a perfect lookout.
Yeah, it was a perfect lookout for crossing the ice.
Sue Brady from Oakville, Ontario, takes us up into the church steeple where her father, then a Canadian soldier fighting the Nazis, served as a lookout and came under enemy fire. That story is still ahead, but for now, back to you, Erica.
Thanks, Adrienne. 2 former BC farm workers are speaking out about the workplace conditions that caused them to file an official complaint. Though a federal investigation found no problems, the province awarded 5 migrant workers $80,000. Tara Carmen explains.
Danielle Concha and Francesca Reyes left Chile, dreaming of a better life in Canada.
I leave my job there because I think here I have a really good opportunity, a better job, better house, better life.
Their first job was living and working on an Abbotsford farm. It wasn't what they expected.
It was horrible to see because the house where we live there was very dirty.
We work 12, 15 hours per day, 7 days a week.
Concha says he and his partner were hired to do quality control of fruit, sort it and clean it, but their contracts described them as farm workers. He and Reyes were paid the same as berry pickers, with no overtime or vacation pay, and then their contract was cut short. In 2021, they were 2 of 5 workers who complained to Service Canada, which launched an audit. Federal inspectors found no problems, but they never spoke to the workers.
So really coming forward is really challenging for workers. The fear of loss of employment is particularly high.
In this case, it seemed hopeless. But this January, BC's Employment Standards Branch awarded the 5 workers close to $80,000 in compensation for unpaid overtime, vacation pay, and misrepresenting the length of the contract.
Yeah, a long time waiting for that.
Despite the decision, the Abbotsford operation where they worked is still able to hire foreign workers. The company told CBC that Service Canada has found our organization to be compliant across key areas and reserved the right to appeal the provincial decision against them. But Danielle and Francesca worry other farm workers are still stuck with no voice.
Many people don't know nothing about their rights.
They're speaking out for change, so others who follow in their path have a stronger voice. Tara Carmen, CBC News, White Rock, BC.
Tonight, people are remembering a Maritimes meteorologist whose long career once set a world record.
The odd thing about it, we set that record back in 2013, but every day that I've gone to work since then, it's a new record.
All in, Peter Coade spent 54 years in the business, mostly at CBC. He retired in 2016, and that Guinness World Record now belongs to someone else. Still, Coade is being remembered for a friendly, inviting manner and a drive for accuracy. He died in hospital at age 82. An Ontario couple says their Air Canada flights were mysteriously cancelled and their travel credit stolen.
My money was stolen, my seats were stolen, and they don't care.
Why the airline says the pair is to blame. A new shoe's coming to market aimed at helping athletes who have Down syndrome.
It's about time somebody did.
Why the design could be a game changer. And a cache of antique weapons discovered during an excavation.
They uncovered 4 German submachine guns from the First World War.
We're back in 2. Brazilian police say they foiled a bomb attack targeting a Lady Gaga concert in Rio de Janeiro. Working on a tip from state police, investigators arrested 2 suspects, including a teenager, in connection with a plot to use improvised explosives at the event. More than 2 million fans attended the free concert held at Copacabana Beach on Saturday. An Ontario couple celebrating a milestone birthday says they were left stranded and out thousands of dollars after their Air Canada travel credit was stolen, then used to buy a flight for someone they don't know. As Go Public's Rosa Marcatelli explains, the airline is blaming them for the fraud.
We went hiking and
Bill and Sandra Barlow were celebrating Bill's 75th birthday with a trip to South and Central America. But 2 days before their flight home, they discovered someone had canceled their flights, and the credit was used to book a flight to Tokyo for a complete stranger.
absolutely flabbergasted. How does something like that happen?
The credit was stolen from their Air Canada wallet, a digital account set up by the airline the couple says they've never used or heard of. But the airline blames them.
They said basically, sorry, you should look after your Air Canada wallet, something I didn't even know I had.
The airline tells GoPublic hackers accessed the Barlow's email, then used it to get into their digital wallet and steal their credit, saying no organization can reasonably be expected to accept liability for the security of customers' personal email accounts. But a cybersecurity expert tells us there's no proof of that, and the airline can't know for sure if someone's personal email has been compromised without access to it. Plus, the expert says ultimately that travel credit was stolen from Air Canada's system.
Air Canada customers absolutely should be concerned how many other customers may be sitting ducks.
Air Canada wouldn't say how it knows the Barlow's email was compromised, saying that would jeopardize the integrity of its fraud investigations. And what about that mysterious Tokyo trip? The airline also won't say if it investigated the passenger who traveled on a ticket purchased with stolen credit. So, GoPublic tracked her down in Las Vegas. Okay, here's someone by that name. She says she bought the ticket through a travel agent, but wouldn't provide the agent's name or proof of payment. She also says Air Canada never contacted her. All of it points to major gaps in the airline's investigation, say the Barlows.
My money was stolen, my seats were stolen, and they don't care.
The couple had to spend thousands out of pocket for new flights home. Rosa Marcatelli, CBC News, Calgary.
Our GoPublic stories come from you. If you have a tip for the team to investigate, send an email to gopublic@cbc.ca. Mark Carney is heading to Washington in less than 48 hours to try to work out a deal to end Trump's tariffs.
They are all unjustified, unwarranted, and in our judgment, misguided.
What's on the table in this critical negotiation? France is stepping up amid concerns the U.S. could pull its military from Europe.
If they decide to withdraw, should France replace this presence?
The race to prepare to protect the continent.
And back here in the Netherlands, 80 years after the country's liberation, a Canadian mother-daughter duo go on a very personal journey.
Just so proud of my grandfather and all that he achieved in 6 years.
The National breaks down the stories shaping our world next.
Rest assured, the Liberal Party will be ready to win the next provincial election.
A bold prediction by John Hogan just seconds after being named leader of Newfoundland and Labrador's Liberal Party on Saturday. Hogan now becomes the province's new premier designate following the surprise resignation of Andrew Furey in February. He'll need to call a general election before October. Alberta's new Democratic Party has voted overwhelmingly to cut traditional ties with its federal counterpart, deciding instead to allow members to opt out of joining the federal NDP. Leader Naheed Nenshi says the party's longtime practice of automatically signing up members to the federal party was scaring away potential members. For people living with Down syndrome, participating in sports can feel impossible. For many, genetic foot anomalies make most running shoes just too painful to wear. But as Natalie Collada shows us, one manufacturer is taking steps to change that.
You got it! For Declan Shills and Madison Brown, sports are a passion.
I think I soccer and running.
Every me go running outside and soccer.
Though sports for many people with Down syndrome can be uniquely challenging, at times even painful.
Toes.
Yes, because the toes can be
and
Squished.
quick.
Yes.
His feet are just shaped in a way that a lot of the shoes are too narrow.
People with Down syndrome suffer genetic foot anomalies that can cause painful damage to feet, presenting barriers to physical activity.
I don't think it's just one thing. I think there's a lot of factors that contribute, but you can imagine how being physically uncomfortable because of an activity would lead you to avoid it.
And now one company is designing shoes specifically for people with Down syndrome.
It was super important to build the shoe with the community.
Adidas has been working on the shoes for 3 years, developing it with Down syndrome athletes, sharing and testing prototypes. The shoes are set to launch next year.
Good job, Zimo.
And families are already excited.
It's about time somebody did. Back pain and, can't walk properly and it's hard to get the right size for him. We have to go around to a million places, try them on, then make him walk, and then we find they're still not comfortable, right?
I thought it was incredibly amazing because I always preach that just like a soldier, the most important thing is your feet.
The benefits transcending just the physical.
Fred, good job today. Okay, good job. Exercise is the best medicine in the world. But for Downs, it builds their self-esteem, right? Major brain functions for them to work through a lot of problem solving.
One step at a time.
I am a shoe guy. I collect shoes.
Natalie Collada, CBC News, Toronto.
Now, let's turn back to the scenes here in the Netherlands as this country remembers all those lost to war and honors the Canadians who helped liberate them from the Nazis. It is Remembrance Day in the Netherlands, and at the Holten Canadian War Cemetery, a ceremony to thank those who died fighting to free this country, including more than 7,600 Canadians.
Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
This year marks 80 years since the end of the Second World War, but the memory of the Canadian courage is anything but tired. For the Dutch, this wasn't a war in a far-flung place. The occupation of the Nazis and the magnitude of what the Canadians did is all very personal, just as it is for the families of the Canadian liberators themselves. And on this anniversary, some of them have now traveled here on a pilgrimage of sorts. No, it's not a mirage. Those are Canadians coming over the Dutch hills into Wilp again. Not liberators returning 80 years later, it's their children. Canadians in their fathers' footsteps. Thanked by the Dutch just the same.
I wish you a beautiful day today. Thank you again.
For the sacrifices of the men whose photos they wear.
I want to give you a set of letters to you, the children of the people who are you carrying at your chest. It touches me. Thank you very much.
Among the group, these two. Sue Brady, her daughter Holly Laird from Oakville, Ontario. They're here for him, Sue's dad, Holly's grandfather. He's Jim Gibb of the Royal Canadian Artillery. He fought in Italy and then right here in the Netherlands. Gone since 2018, piecing together what he did is a constant labor of love. If he were here now, what kind of questions would you have for him?
Well, why did it take so long to tell me the story?
What story? Well, one of this church, of the bullet holes in it, and that steeple. That Sue knows any of it is because of this man. Ott de Vries. Friends now, but strangers 25 years ago when Sue came to the Netherlands with her dad. They encountered grateful Dutch citizens, Ott among them. Jim asked his new friend to bring him to this ancient church. He'd never spoken of it before. What Sue learned then is Jim was part of Operation Cannon Shot in April of 1945.
Canadians massed across the Isle River, supporting armor to the far bank.
The mission to break through the Nazi front. When his regiment got to the town of Wilp, he and a fellow soldier climbed that steeple to keep watch. They hid there for days, being constantly fired upon.
So Ott, my friend, went and found an older gentleman who came, and he said, I remember feeding you. So he would, at night, they would bring the food to the soldiers thought of it.
Amazing.
It was amazing. And we got permission to go up, climb up this very steep stairway. And he got there and he goes, there's my initials. It was unbelievable.
You know the way. With Jim gone and Ott no longer able, Sue's determined to see the steeple again, show it to Holly for the first time.
I think it's locked. Oh, no, it's not.
This is how you pass down history. Wow. How's your knee?
My knees are fine. My heart's pumping.
But she's her father's daughter, not a big fan of obstacles.
There was 2 of them. They were here for 3 days. Yeah. Dad said they had fabulous views because they could see so far on 4 sides.
It's a perfect lookout.
Yeah, it was a perfect lookout for crossing the ice.
What's this like for you?
Just so proud of my grandfather and all that he achieved in 6 years of service. And to go from Sicily all the way through and survive and then liberate the citizens. It's just an amazing moment.
Anecdotes come in flashes on a trip like this.
Let's walk with the first Canadian, second Canadian.
Walking the battlefields, crossing the rivers as their fathers did, the families retracing as much as they can, the stories flow. Even in the places of reverence, those cemeteries filled with young Canadians.
We walked the Reichwald. We walked through Emmerich. We saw where he crossed the Rhine. They showed us exactly.
A treasured memory, the Dutchman who once tracked Jim down to thank him for giving the man's family his rations. It saved them from starvation.
Dad did make a connection with the family, this gentleman.
All she's learned helps her make sense of Jim. She even understands now why he was such a picky eater.
We always had to have potatoes, meat, and vegetables separated because he said for 6 years he had eaten out of his helmet. And he said, I don't want to do that anymore.
Details keep those we love alive.
Do you ever worry about people not remembering?
Well, yes. Well, not in my family.
Yeah.
Because my grandfather was World War I. Dad was World War II. My son is in the armed forces right now. And my grandson just went into the armed forces last night.
Remembrance with this family is a purpose. It's Sue and Holly laying the wreath at the Grosbeak Cemetery, where so many of Jim Gibbs' Canadian comrades remain. And in a moment that has to give you chills, just behind the nearly 24 vets in the Apeldoorn Parade, look who walks in their footsteps. Maybe these next generations, who are the story keepers, descendants of the liberators and liberated, still connected, is what the future of remembrance looks like. The vets will always come first, but the history of what happened here is in good and caring hands. So this journey has been full of amazing moments, and we really want to show you one more. At the Apeldoorn Liberation Parade on Saturday, 2 amazing things happened. Canadian veteran William Seyfried turned 100, and then for his birthday, the whole crowd sang to him.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear William. Happy birthday to you. Hooray!
And one more link between our countries. The woman who was singing next to him is Dutch Princess Margriet, who was born in Ottawa, where her family sought safety during the war. So that is it from us in the Netherlands tonight. First and foremost, a huge thank you always to the veterans, and thank you as well for being gracious enough to give us your time and your stories. Thanks to their families and the Dutch families here who welcomed us. I'll be back Tuesday night from Rome when our special coverage of the conclave begins. Until then, we'll send it back to you, Erica, in Vancouver.
Thank you, Adrienne. The Prime Minister's highly anticipated meeting with Donald Trump is nearly here.
Carney has 3 key details to sort out first before negotiations even start.
Alex Panetta on how those talks could go down. Amid new geopolitical realities and wavering U.S. security assurances for Europe, can France step up and lead on defense and deterrence?
Nobody knows if one day Macron would push the button because the Baltic states are invaded.
We'll break down all that, but first.
How can any country trust the U.S. enough to make a trade deal?
Ahead of Trump-Carney White House trade talk, what are Ottawa's expectations and how can they achieve them? Alex Panetta looks at 3 key planks for Carney, from personnel to policy.
Canada's newly elected Prime Minister, Mark Carney, is about to meet Donald Trump. The goal? To work out a truce in the form of a comprehensive new Canada-U.S. economic and security pact. Can they make it happen?
I think we're going to have a great relationship. He called me up yesterday and said, let's make a deal.
Having a quick meeting, that's the easy part. Getting a deal will take longer. Carney has 3 key details to sort out first before negotiations even start. These essential steps involve policy, personnel, and process. So let's start with personnel. Which people will lead negotiations for Canada? After all, Carney has yet to name a cabinet. That's happening in 2 weeks. We'll find out who's in, who's out, who the relevant ministers are, which minister will lead this. They might also name a lead negotiator, a non-politician perhaps. And then there's policy. What's on the table? Now, we know what Canada wants, the end of tariffs.
They are all unjustified, unwarranted, and in our judgment, misguided.
But how hard do we push? And is compromise on the table? In an ideal world, you'd even cement this in law, setting new rules in U.S. law for how a president can use tariffs. That's complicated for a number of reasons. We also know a lot of what the United States wants. More dairy sales in Canada, Ottawa's digital services tax eliminated, and new rules for trading auto parts, especially to keep Chinese car parts out of North America. Finally, more military spending. But a lot of this, what's on the table and when, will depend on the process. To get to a destination, you have to choose a path, a process. Here there's a slow lane, and there's a fast lane, and finally, a middle lane, a sort of compromise between the two. Let me explain. The slow lane is the renegotiation of CUSMA, the Canada-US-Mexico agreement. It's supposed to happen starting next year. Trump would like this to happen sooner, but it's complicated. You can't just snap your fingers and start this renegotiation tomorrow. There are rules. Just to start this process takes like a year under U.S. law. There have to be 270 days of public comment and consultations with Congress. So there's a faster option, a handshake deal. Say Canada agrees to do X, Y, and Z, Trump agrees to drop tariffs, they shake hands, they put out a happy press release, and the rest of us try to put this unpleasant episode in the rearview mirror. But the flaw with that faster approach is it doesn't really mean much. It's just a handshake. It's not ratified by Congress, it's not embedded in law, which makes it super easy for Trump to just change his mind again later.
How can any country trust the U.S. enough to make a trade deal, given that Trump has thrown out existing trade deals?
Finally, there's the hybrid approach, the middle lane. Some parts fast, some parts slow, meaning you have 2 sets of negotiations. In the next few weeks or months, you might announce some sort of handshake deal. You resolve some issues quickly. Then you sit down again next year and deal with larger structural issues, meaning we get to do this twice.
If the negotiations with the Americans take longer, so be it.
Of course, there's another complicating factor here. U.S. trade officials are a little tied up. They are busy negotiating dozens, maybe over 100 different arrangements. After all, their boss, Donald Trump, just declared a trade war on the entirety of planet Earth.
Today, Mark Carney spoke with the president of the European Commission about strengthening trade and shared security challenges. Like Canada, Europe is also facing concerns about its defense relationship with Washington. As Chris Brown tells us, with an emboldened Vladimir Putin, what happens next won't be simple or straightforward.
France's President Emmanuel Macron wants to become Europe's new military champion and replace the United States. But it's going to be pretty hard. France has plenty of strengths, an army of more than 200,000 active soldiers, lots of fighter jets, an aircraft carrier, and nuclear-powered submarines. And crucially, it also has an arsenal of nuclear weapons that France alone controls. But while that may be a lot for one country, it's hardly enough for all of Europe. So to build up a continent-wide deterrent, Macron and his party need other EU countries on side.
Our vision is to invest way more in our national budgets on defense, to buy European and from European defense industries, and to build some sort of a European compass regarding our defense and geostrategy.
Macron says he wants to increase the size of France's military budget from 2% of GDP now to 3.5% in just a few years, a big increase. It isn't just about money, of course. Neither France nor any other single European country has the factories, the workers, or the technology to do it all alone. And one of the biggest changes and challenges is that rather than having an American nuclear umbrella protecting Europe's 30 current NATO members, it could be France's president with his or her finger on the button.
So now the question is, if the US decides to withdraw from the EU, you have today nuclear missiles from the US positioned in many European countries. If they decide to withdraw, should France replace this presence of the US in all of these countries?
And is it even able to? Compared to Russia, France's nuclear arsenal is small, believed to include a few hundred warheads, the same for Britain. Russia, meanwhile, has over 4,000. But probably even more important than the actual number of warheads is whether both allies and adversaries believe France's president would actually be prepared to use them to protect a European ally.
Nobody knows if one day Macron would push the button because the Baltic states are invaded. So this is a subject that we must fundamentally solve. It will take years to solve.
President Macron has already announced France will move some of its nuclear-capable aircraft closer to Germany, and it's starting talks with Poland on what role France's nuclear weapons might play there. There are other big gaps in France's capabilities, and no European nation can match American air defense or other logistics.
In Central Europe, they have always known that the only power that could save them from an invasion by USSR or today Russia was the umbrella of the United States.
Macron's other big challenge may simply be to convince his neighbors that his ambition to lead the continent will be shared by the next French president who takes over when his term ends in 2 years. And moving quickly on all of this is important. Some intelligence agencies believe an emboldened Vladimir Putin could be ready to test a weakened Europe in less than 5 years.
Given that timeline Chris mentioned, the European Commission recently announced a multi-billion-dollar defense package. The Rearm Europe 2030 plan would offer loans to countries to boost spending and speed up weapons production. Coming up, construction workers in Vancouver make an unexpected discovery.
My first thought was basically, are they sure they know what they've found?
How they uncovered history in our moment. You're looking at an artifact from the First World War discovered by construction workers while they were building a new amphitheater at the Pacific National Exhibition in Vancouver. This wasn't the only artifact they found, and the items span multiple eras. So tonight, the newfound historical hotspot makes our moment.
Newspaper articles throughout the last 80 years had hinted at there were, buried artillery pieces, etc., in the PNE grounds. Last week, the construction crew had found 2 muzzle-loading cannons, probably belonging to the British military or the Canadian Army. And then they uncovered 4 German submachine guns from the First World War. My first thought was basically, are they sure they know what they've found? The story is that a lot of the ordnance that was on display throughout the city of Vancouver had been collected. Some of the heavier pieces were just dumped in the ravine and buried. We would collect war trophies and bring them back. put them on display. Times change, they get melted down or buried and then forgotten until, we find them again through accidental, in this case, excavation.
Now, if you're wondering why these artifacts were just buried instead of preserved, they were old, they were considered disposable, proving you never know what's going to become of historical value down the line. And the mystery is still unfolding. Apparently, they are still looking for 9 or 10 more pieces out there. For Adrian and the national team, thank you for being with us. You can watch anywhere, anytime on the free CBC News app and subscribe to the National's YouTube channel. I'm Erica Johnson in Vancouver. Take care.